Let's get you some Eastern Conference thoughts here. And in this series specifically, what are you seeing?
I just see a Boston team that's hungry. They're playing harder. They're getting all the 50-50 balls. As you know, we stat that in the NBA. They're playing with a lot of passion. They believe they can win no matter who's out there, you know. LeBron is playing out of his mind, obviously, in Game 2. 42-point triple-doubles. You can't ask more from a guy, right? But the other guys got to step up. Kevin Love played very well, I thought. Kyle Korver had 11 points, but J.R. Smith went 0 for 7. You only have 3 guys in double figures. It's tough to win like that.
Can the Cavs win this series?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've been down 0-2 before. You win 2 games at home, you're back in the series. But I think they got to win both games at home.
I agree. So give me the one most important thing they need to do. You got the monster performance from LeBron last night, as you mentioned, and it wasn't enough. So give me the one thing that has to go right or that they have to do right to win Saturday night.
They got to have more points than the other team. No, I mean, I think they got to stop the other guys from scoring. I think Boston they had 6 guys in double figures, and Baines had 9 in 17 minutes. They got to somehow eliminate the other guys, and it's tough to pick because they do it by committee. You got Brown balling, you got Tatum balling, Rozier's playing incredible. Horford looks like a young Horford in Atlanta. You got to find a way to neutralize some of those guys. Not all guys can be in double figures.
What have you seen from this Cavs team, from any of the playoffs so far, that leads you to believe that they are going to get it together? Take LeBron out of it. He's obviously doing more than his job. But
right.
Get it together in time for Saturday or at least Game 4 to fix this and to get it back on track.
Well, I mean, for Cavs fans, they have history in their favor where they've done things where they've come back in the Indiana series and had big games. Kyle Korver had a big game in Indiana. J.R. Smith had a huge shooting night one night, but they're going to need that on a consistent basis, especially in Cleveland. At home, they might get that. I don't know what happens with the foul last night on Horford on the lob. That may play a role in this as well, but they got to score more points.
Well, as a former player, I'm curious your perspective on that play. And for folks who didn't see it, that's where J.R. Smith just blatantly shoves Al Horford in the back when he is in a defenseless posture, to use a football term. He's going up to try and convert an alley-oop. As a former player, when you see that, what goes through your mind?
Oh, it's a dirty play. I mean, you're lucky I didn't get hurt, to be honest, because I was vulnerable in the air. Pushes him, he could have fell into the backstop, he could have fell into a fan, he could have fell into a cameraman. We've seen that happen before. It's a dirty play at the end of the day. You know, bottom line is, not a basketball play. He didn't go for the ball. I see there should be, like Jalen said earlier, there's going to be some news on this from the NBA office pretty soon.
As somebody that played with LeBron, now he's down 0-2. Can you bring us behind the scenes about his mentality going into the next game and what you expect?
Yeah, you saw what he did in Game 1. He got to the gym early. Obviously, he watched his film. He's a huge student of the game. I've been there before against him with my Chicago Bulls teams. He's a guy that puts the work in, and he comes out and does his part. You know, 42 points, triple-double. He's going to do his part, but you can't control what the other guys do when they catch the ball. You know, if they're going to make their shots when they're open, if they're going to hustle for the 50-50 balls, dive on the floor for loose balls. LeBron's going to come in with the mentality that he had last night. I'm going to do everything I can to carry these 12 grown men on my back
Again.
to try to get a win.
You know, I hate admitting it when Jalen is right. But he has been 100% right on several things, and in particular, since the day we started the show, saying everyone calls Philly the process, but the process that's really working is Boston. As you look at Boston and that young nucleus, and they will get Hayward back, and they will get Kyrie back, barring many decisions they make on trades or that sort of thing, and the really good coaching they're obviously getting from Stevens, and some of the flexibility they have. Right now, do the Boston Celtics look to you like the future of the NBA?
Especially the Eastern Conference. They look great. I mean, they got a young core that can play, and they're playing right now very well. You're getting Kyrie Irving back at some point. Next season you get Hayward back. If you're able to keep that whole nucleus, you might need that whole nucleus just to compete with Golden State or Houston, whoever comes out in the West in the future, because they got a lot over there in the Western Conference, and we'll get to that in a minute. But if this team stays connected and together, wow. The Eastern Conference, they look the best team in the East.
Who's impressed you most on that squad?
I think Rozier. I think Tatum has been obviously he's brotherhood, Blue Devils, but I'm very impressed by what he's been able to do, but I'm really impressed by Rozier. I didn't know he was this good. Obviously watching Kyrie, and as soon as Kyrie went down, it was like nothing stopped. The train kept moving. Rozier's been playing great, hitting clutch shots, playing great defense, and, he's like a one-man fast break for that team.
We had an interesting soundbite that we ran yesterday here on the show from Robert Parrish, the legendary former Celtic and the Hall of Famer, in which he suggested, flat out said, that he thinks that the coach, Brad Stevens, is getting too much credit for the success of this team. Now, sitting and watching it, I'm enormously impressed. They're doing things right that even a casual fan can see, the plays they call off inbounds and things like that. And they just always seem to have the right plan. So I feel like he deserves all the credit that he's getting. I feel like a lot of players don't necessarily see it that way. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think he deserves credit. I mean, last week when I heard that the coaches didn't even give him a vote for Coach of the Year, I was really surprised by that because you got his teams in the Eastern Conference Finals, no Kyrie, no Hayward, which is who they built the team around, and they're still in the Eastern Conference, and they're up 2-0 on top of that. And then you think about like the Philadelphia series, I mean, he really outcoached. If you think about it, he really outcoached Brett Brown. So to me, he deserves a lot of credit.
What do you think may happen if this team gets to the finals? Kyrie has been an all-star, all-NBA performer.
Yeah.
You know what the chatter is going to be. Rozier, as you just mentioned, has been a breakout star in these playoffs. What do you anticipate may happen going forward?
Well, I anticipate them losing in the finals to probably Golden State. And the reason why you brought Kyrie was to get over the hump so you can win the finals. So, I mean, they got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year with a whole different team last year with Isaiah leading that charge as well. So they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but can you win the whole thing? That's why you brought in Kyrie. He's the closer.